We're loving and hating and making scenes. Now we just see everything we believe.
Hello, what's poppin' YouTube fam? This is your boy J Money here, and I'm bringing you guys, as requested, the updated World Chalice deck profile. Right. Alright. So, Bro Fusion went to 1. Sad face. However, it's still easily accessible. If you go first, you're automatically going to win the duel, unless, you don't open Call by the Grave and a Draw Lopper gets dropped on you. Then, yeah, you may as well just go to the next game, because you're not going to regain that tempo. That's basically any deck now. But, that's besides the point. Bottom line, deck's still just as consistent as it has been. It can easily play around 2-3 interruptions, maybe even 4 sometimes, depending on if you really just got that good of a hand. And yeah, so let's see. It is Sunday at the time of this video being made, and yeah, Salmon Greats is already cementing its dominance. Hence why I don't, I never liked the deck to begin with, but we're not talking about Salmon Greats. We're talking about Chalice here. I've played this deck since release. It's always been tried and true, and it's one of those decks to where it's easy to learn but difficult to master kind of decks. Especially going into today's format where you have Salmon Great and you just have a bunch of control decks and a bunch of heavy combo decks. So there's a lot of win buttons with this deck. So that's just quick introduction. So with all of that out of the way, enough to talk. Let's go ahead and get started with the profile. Alright guys, of course, to start this profile off, we gotta play these Venuses and these Shine Balls. Even to this day, if this card resolves, you automatically win the duel. That is just naturally how that goes. It just provides you with too much value not to play. Of course, still rip Gofu, because Gofu was just a godsend to this deck as well. It's nice. 3 World Legacies and 3 Lees. If you're playing any less than 3 of these cards, you are doing something wrong. Point blank, hands down, no questions asked, you play these cards. And last up, to round off the Chalice monsters, we got 2 Guard Dragons, a Chosen, and a Beckett. You play this because you need it for your Naturi Beast, and you play Chosen because you're playing Emergency Teleport. You need as many starters in this deck as possible, especially now that Brilliant Fusion has been limited. Hold on, guys. Alright, back, guys. So, next we got our package right here. We got our, we have 2 Lone Fires and a Scorpio. The reason why we don't play 3 is because we're already playing a 45 card deck, and you don't want to make the deck any bigger than what it already is. But the reason why we played 1 Scorpio is because if you get in a Lone Fire, you are essentially getting rid of, basically if this resolves, every single potential Garnet involving this, you have 0 chance of drawing because you're not playing multiple Scorpio. So this essentially acts as 3 Scorpios still, with the exception of you have no chance of just drawing into other theoretical Scorpios during your Saryuja draws, and they could easily just get you into things that you should be seeing. Alright guys, next we got the win condition being the Rescue Ferrets. You play 3. If I had space I would play Rescue, but 45 card deck already. Just could not drop it down to 44. That's it's unfortunate, but you're making Saryuja twice and you're Ningirsu drawing, so you're likely going to get into it. We still play 3 Kaijus. It's even more, it's even more deserved now because, people are maining Kaijus, people are maining Pankratops and things like that because, some of these boards are pretty nasty. So we were always playing these to begin with, and we naturally play Waterfront, so if you see one and you see a Waterfront, you're going to get the other one, and you're probably going to just drop like Gamma Seal to your board and basically just play for free. And yeah, Gamma Steel locks with Waterfront is still incredibly strong. So yeah, there's that. We got all of our Garnets. We got our Trick Clown, Lazuli, Steam the Cloak, Synchro Fusionist, and Glow Bulb. These are some of the Garnets you don't want to see. Seeing this isn't really a big deal, simply for the fact that you're going to want to resolve Brilliant Fusion late combo rather than early combo, so you're going to make Saryuja, you're going to put that back anyway. Same with these, but you don't want to see too many of these. But I guess that is one benefit of a 45 card deck, is because you're not going to see, the chances of you seeing multiples of these are pretty, they're pretty low. And last monster of the deck, which is essentially a part of your win condition, has always been in our deck since August of 2017, and that is Archon Christia, because it'll just outright win you games standalone by itself. Especially in this format, mind you. Alright, so that's it for the monsters. Next we got the Spell and Traps. We got our one copy of Brilliant Fusion, because Rest in Peace is at 1. Otherwise we would be playing 3 of these things. 2 Waterfront. You're making multiple Saryujas and your Ningusu drawing. You're probably going to see that. If you do, not only will you be able to make your board, but if you have like any other extender in your hand, or any other Rebornish based card, whatever, you can drop Gamma Seal along with that board and definitely secure you that win. 3 Call by the Grace, because Salmon Great, and their 10 plus hand traps. Not to mention people are playing roles again because of Thunder Dragons and Guard Dragon Crusadias. I hate when Droll just starts to make its way right back into the game, because that just ends your turn. Whatever. Next we got our starter cards. Other starters being Die, Teleport, and Shea Brigadine. Any card that allows you to put a vanilla on the board without normal summoning is a starter. Just to know. Next we got the other 1-0s, Foolish Burial, Monster Reborn, World Legacy Heart, and World Legacy Succession. Rip Soul Charge, that was another extender that we could have used. If this is at like 2 or something, I would be playing 2 of these. If this wasn't once per turn, I'd be playing multiples of those. It's whatever. Heart, you gotta anticipate the grind game, especially with some of these other matchups. If you don't anticipate the grind game and you find yourself having to play out more than just one turn, you're probably going to lose that game if you're not prepared for it. Alright, that's it for the main deck, guys. We got extra deck. We got Seraphonite, of course, because we played Brilliant Fusion and Seraphonite is awesome. Next we got Link Spider and 2 Imducks. I really, really want the third one, like really badly. I want the third again, because it allows you to play a grind game when you resolve World Legacy's Heart. But with the side deck we got, we can essentially guarantee our games 2 and 3s, if we're going first, of course. Next we got Cerberus and Phoenix, because utility. We're playing a Link deck. So the ability to just toolbox your extra deck is really good and really important, and in fact that's what gives Link's decks an advantage, because they have such a generic toolbox. 2 Imps, we have to play 2, because it's the only way to guarantee us making an Orm at the end of the combo, and not have to depend on what we have in our hand. And for the last of the Chalice extra deck monsters, we got Orm and Ningirsu, because you want to draw into your win cons and have more good options in your hand, and more options to choose from the mulligan when you make that Saryuja and Orm, because it's part of your win condition when it comes to setting up your other 2 extra decks. 2 Saryujas, because it's Saryuja, why not? It honestly should get semi-limited, if I'm being honest, because okay, a lot of people say it should be limited, but a lot of decks that really need this card play 2. Here's the thing about Saryuja. One Saryuja is like okay, 2 is where, okay, now things are starting to get pretty good. You know, 2 is like a healthy number. It is where things get like really good for a lot of decks, but it's that third one to where, okay, now things are starting to get ridiculous. So, you know, 3 is too much, 1 is too little. You know, I feel like 2 is just perfect number for sure, you do in terms of a ban list. You know, so you allow other decks that do use multiples to kind of, you know, play. And the last 3 monsters of our extra deck, we got Grab the Shining Star, Boros Savage Dragon, and the Tree Beast. Okay, I've had some people in the comments just stating, why not just play Blazar Dragon? It's a better negate. Well, see, here's the thing. You know, I play Graham the Shining Star and Boros Savage for one reason only, and that's to free up extra deck space. You know, when literally a third of your extra deck is not comprised of links, that's a problem. You know, when you have 5, you know, cards in your extra deck being synchros, that means a third of your extra deck is forever locked away if you don't get access to Rescue Ferret. If you don't resolve Rescue Ferret, then, you know, a third of your extra deck isn't even accessible, and that's a big deal. Plus, Boros Savage is still a generic negate. Yeah, you won't be able to negate attacks, or you won't be able to negate summons, but, you know, Boros Savage is essentially the same kind of negate. It's still a negate anything base card at the cost of only 2 extra decks rather than 4 extra decks, being the Blazar itself, 2 level 5 synchros and a level 2 synchro. You know, and you were playing the Tree Beast anyway, so that was even more over the top. So that's something I don't understand. So I was playing TG and Formula Synchron, but again, that was just taking up even more extra deck slots to make Boros Savage. And I know, you know, the draws are like really nice and they'd be really good, but again, like, just freeing, you know, had I just played TG and Formula, or had I went for Blazar, I wouldn't have had space for these 2 cards. And when you're going up against a deck like Thunder Dragon, to where they're making Zombie Stein and things like that, you know, and or, you know, if you're playing against Guard Dragon Crusadia and they and you do successfully, you know, let's say hit their stop their rescue cap from resolving, you still need to be able to out their Hot Red Dragon Archene Abyss or their Boros Savage. So you need to be able to just use those effects immediately. Get, you know, the sooner you can bait those effects, the better. So, and again, just toolboxing, just you have outs in your extra deck on demand, versus if you were playing Blazar, you wouldn't have those options. Alright, that's it for the extra deck. Next on to the side deck. 3 reboots because we don't like trap cards. And, yeah, again, Salamangreats, guys. Salamangreat is, yeah, it's a problem. We don't want to deal with that deck, period. And we got 2 Twin Twisters. They made its way to the side deck because, well, I don't know. Like, the Kaijus versus Salamangreats versus Twin Twisters versus Salamangreats, I feel like the Kaiju is just better because if they don't have Roar or Rage, they're going to go for Roar. And, yeah. Kaijus will just turn that off anyway. And you don't really need to get rid of the field spell because they don't have a Link Monster on the board. So that's why that's there. And we have 2 Hatred Nades because, again, we don't like back row. We got a lot of back row removal here. We don't want to do a Sky Strikers. We want to flip all our opponent's floodgates over so we know where they are and how to pin them down and take them down. Next we have 2 Pankratops. I know a lot of people are already going to just start scratching their head and say, why 2 Pankratops? Well, here's the thing. When you're siding, you want to see multiple, you know, you side multiple copies of a card just so you can see it. Hatred Nade against certain matchups is a blowout. You still want to play Twisters because it's generic against trap decks or spell heavy back row decks like Striker. And you can use this against monsters. So at this point, somebody's going to ask, well, I mean, if you clearly know that it has the utility of such, well, why aren't you, you know, playing 3 in place of some of these other cards? And that's because this isn't a blowout. It's not a blowout like Reboot or True Nade and things like that. So, and when it comes to some of the monsters, we're already playing Kaijus in the main. So, you know, we don't need like too much assistance. Not to mention you don't want to see multiple copies of this in your hand. So, yeah, there's that. And we got 3 Droll Lockbirds. Honestly, should really be banned, but, you know, so why not just get the free win against, you know, Thunder Dragons and Guard Dragon Crusadia while you can. I mean, again, if you resolve that card against those decks, you just immediately win the duel. And that's really sad to think about. I mean, I know some people are going to just immediately say, oh, it's necessarily evil to stop, you know, decks like that from going off. And it's just like, okay, guys, I understand that dangers are pretty good. And I understand that nobody wants to, you know, sit on, you know, face down a Guard Dragon Crusadia board or a Thunder Dragon board. But, like, you know, just under no circumstances, under no reason should being able to just end your opponent's turn on turn 0 be a necessary evil. Because, you know, cards like Max C are banned for a reason. Because turn 0 floodgate shenanigans is what, you know, it makes it to where you just, you know, games are just decided undeservedly for no reason. And all that stuff. So, yes, again, I will never, even regardless of what kind of deck is in the format, I will never be on the side of just being able to just lock out your opponent turn 0. Turn 0 shenanigans should never be allowed in the game. Calvin Tahan himself even said so back in Full Power Spiral format. He says, any card that can be played during either player's turn on the very first turn, any card that can be played on turn 0 that has an effect that just lingers the entire turn should not be legal. And I agree with that. I agree that, you know, that's probably why Max C got banned. Droll, I feel, should join along with him because, again, it just, the whole not searching lasts the entire turn and can be done turn 0, and that can just lose and just win you games, just outright. And I would say that could maybe extend to Chaos Hunter and Artifact Lancia, but, you know, stopping from banishing isn't as generic as searching and drawing and special summoning in the case of Max C. So, you know, that's where I stand there. Searching, drawing, and special summoning are just so generic across, like, so many different decks, nearly every deck, that, you know, they're just so generic to the point to where cards like Droll and Max C just shouldn't exist for that reason, because if every deck searches and every deck draws, and you lock that out, then you just won the game. And we got Prohibition for the last 3 copies. I don't know where my other copies are, so I'll end up getting them, but why am I playing this? Well, this guarantees your games 2 or 3 if you know you're going first. Reason being, if you go first, you're automatically going to win the duel. However, there is one card that breaks the, like, damn near any board, and that is Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode. This solves that problem. You know, I was citing Master Restricts, but then I figured, wait a minute, I can just activate this to call Sphere Mode, and not only could I call Sphere Mode, but this is just a ban list within a card. So, you can side deck this card against any deck, you know, so that kind of solves the whole problem of, oh, I don't even know what to side against your deck, or something like that. So even if you don't anticipate a Sphere Mode for, depending on your matchup, you could just call, like against Salamangreat, you can either call Mirage Stallios, so they don't get rid of this, or you can call Sunlight Wolf. And the reason why we just call Sphere Mode in specific, because yeah, I know people are playing Pankratops and Kaijus and all that mess, but this card says no to them all. This says no to Pankratops. This says no to Kaijus. It says no to Lava Golem. It says no to all of that stuff. If Sphere Mode wasn't a normal summon / tribute summon, I wouldn't care about it. But since it's a normal summon and not a special summon, you know, like the rest of them, then we have to work around it. We have to sit here and we have to side cards just to fortify our board, just to make sure our board doesn't get hit with Sphere Mode, so you can automatically win the duel, because we don't want to interact with our opponent, as it goes. If your opponent's playing, then you're losing, just point blank. Can't say it to you any clearer than that. You know, you don't want your opponent to play, because if they're playing, then you're losing. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are down in the comments below. What did I miss? Is there anything that, any spicy text that you would end up playing in the deck? Let me know. But with that being said, anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. This is J Money, and I am.
Through the wastelands, through the highways.